Let's run through problem 7.5a, a sales returns problem. So how do we deal with the fact that if you sell a product and you offer a refund policy, customers will take advantage of it. They will bring back product. How do you account for that? And the answer is it's a little bit tricky, but let's jump into the problem and sort of work our way through together. On December 15th, 2031, Jones Company sells 50 network switches on account for $100 each. So 50 times 100, that's $5,000 in sales rev. And their cost is $60 a unit. Well, 60 times 50, that's $3,000 in COGS, and we can figure out the gross profit here is $2,000. The company expects 10% of the switches are going to be returned. So if we sell 50, we think 5 will be returned, right? 5 will be returned. That's our best guess, right? And if you sell a product, you will get pretty good at guessing. Like some percent of the time, things are coming back, and accounting for that is the challenge in front of us in this question. The company records sales and accounts receivable at their gross amounts and makes any adjustments at year end. That means when we make the sale, we don't attempt to account for these 5 returns. We'll deal with it at year end because we can, there'll be some that have been returned already. You can, maybe potentially change your estimate based on what's already happening. Some companies will make an adjustment right there. They make the sale and then they say, well, 5% of these are coming back, and they do a 5% calculation then and there. I think that's more unusual. The way we do it is the normal way to do it. So when we make the sale, just make the sale. So let's do the journal entry to make this sale. The question is going to say, do all the journal entries. So on December 15th, 2031, we debit, and of course it's sold on account, so we debit AR, what is that, $5,000. We're going to credit sales rev, $5,000. We're going to debit cost of goods sold, $3,000, and we're going to credit our inventory for $3,000. Okay, and there's our December 15th entry. On December 23rd, one switch is returned and the customer's account is credited. All returned switches are placed in a holding area to be inspected for later. Okay, let's deal with the first part, which is customer brings back the switch and we say, yeah, you don't have to pay for that one for whatever reason they brought it back. So we're essentially refunding them, but they didn't pay cash, so we're just like crediting their account. So if I want to credit their account on December the 23rd, I credit AR, right? I say I'm not going to collect on that one switch that cost $100, so $100 is not coming to me. The debit here is to sales returns or sales returns and allowances. And this is a contra revenue account. And so what we're saying here is our net sales now is not 5,000, it's 4,000 or 4,900, not 4,000, 4,900, because $100 of that $5,000 sale has been returned. Fair enough. Now we also have to account for the fact that we've got some inventory back in our stock. It was one unit and the cost is $60 a unit. It doesn't say whether it's good or bad. If we throw it in the garbage, we don't have to do a journal entry here. We just go, okay, well, we refunded them, but we're not even going to use this thing. It's, it was broken badly or whatever. We've just, if you go into a Walmart and you hand them something and they give you a refund, they put it in like a pile beside the till and they go, somebody's going to take a look at this later. This is the journal entry to like, somebody's going to take a look at this later. We debit an account called returned inventory. And this is our, let's look at this a little later account. We think it's $60 worth of inventory though when it comes back. The credit here is to COGS. Why? Because the inventory is not sold anymore. So there we go. Debit return inventory, credit COGS. Okay, let's continue on to December 31st. December 31st is company's year end. On this date, 4 more switches are still expected to be returned. So we thought we'd have 5 returned. One's already come back, a week later. And we're still thinking, well, we'll accept returns on these things for a while. We still think there's 4 more coming. So here's where we do an adjusting journal entry, predicting our returns and setting up, basically allowing for the fact that these returns are coming. So on December 31st, 2031, we think there's 4 more returns coming. Let's do the math on that. We think that we're going to have to credit a client's account for $400, right? $400 in credit's going to be granted. And we also think, well, it's $60 a unit. So again, 4 times 100 is 400. That's the credit to their account. $60 a unit. We're going to be bringing back $240 in inventory. We have to deal with both of these future expectations in a year-end adjustment because this is what we think is going to happen. Let's deal with it. So the debit here is to sales returns and allowances, reducing our net sales by $400 more. And the credit is to an account called refund liability. And it's just saying we are going to owe a refund either by crediting their account or if they've paid by crediting cash, but we just don't know who is going to return the item yet. Now, this is true for IFRS and for US GAAP. If you're doing Canadian ASPI, Accounting Standards for Private Enterprises in Canada, we'll do it a little bit differently. I'll save that for the very end. You can fast forward to the end of the video and see that, but I'll go through the major ways, which are US GAAP and IFRS first. So again, US GAAP, IFRS, this is so far so good. And we also have to deal with the expected, well, if they're going to make this return, they're also going to bring us back a bunch of inventory. So we set up an account, and this is an asset account called Estimated Inventory Returns, $240, and we credit COGS, $240. Okay, that's it for December 31st. Now, just looking at our year end, our net sales here, 5,000 minus 100 minus 400, our net sales are 4,500 because we had 1 item returned and we're expecting to have 4 more return in the future. So we're only going to record revenue here during the year of 4,500 as a result of that sale. And you can do the math as well on our cost of goods. I guess it'll be about 60% of that, 60 out of 100. Let's carry on though to January 5th. 2032, and it says another 2 network switches are returned. The customer's accounts are credited. All return switches are placed into a holding area. Okay, so let's credit the customer's account. Very similar entry, not the same. We're going to credit AR to say, okay, there's 2 switches back. That's $200 that your account gets credit for. Now, rather than sales returns and allowances, which is a contra revenue account, we recorded the revenue last year and we recorded our adjustment to sales returns and allowances last year. Now we have to say, I have that refund liability. I'm going to owe $400 in refunds. Well, this is one of those refunds. So we debit refund liability to say, okay, I'm issuing the refunds that I had expected to be issuing. I'm refunding their account for $200. We have to do something similar here with our estimated inventory returns. We're going to debit returned inventory. For 2 units, the cost is $60 a unit, $120 of returned inventory, and we credit estimated inventory returns because it's no longer estimated, right? It's come back, estimated inv returns, and it's just this account, 120. So there we have it. We've prepared all of the journal entries for 7.5a. If you are doing this under US GAAP or IFRS, hit that thumbs up button on your way out of here. If you're like me, a Canadian, and if, it's a big if your company is accounting for this under ASPI, Accounting Standards for Private Enterprises, it's this account that changes. So right here and right here, everything else is the same for us, my fellow Canadians. What's living under Mark Carney, formerly Justin Trudeau. What other Canadian references can I give you? I'm not sure. Eating our poutine, I suppose. Okay, well, what's the account? The account here it's an allowance account, and it's allowance for sales returns. Allowance for sales returns. And, sometimes we'll Americans and IFRS people and Canadians will use slightly different terminology for an account. The reason I have to call this one out specifically is not because, our words are a little bit different, but it's basically that we're doing the same thing. Here, it's actually a different account, right? This is a contra asset account where America and IFRS use a liability account. So we are accounting for it somewhat differently, which is why I have to make this a separate section of the video. And so the allowance for sales returns is a contra receivable account. It's saying this reduces our receivable. Again, under US GAAP or IFRS, they're saying we're going to increase a liability. We got to pay it in the future. My mind, it really is very, very similar, but it is a different treatment here. So when it comes to, we issue the refund, we're saying, we're using our allowance. So debit the allowance for sales returns. So it's a different way of accounting for the same thing. That's ASPI. And again, us lucky Canadians often have to learn both the IFRS treatment and the ASPI treatment. So the green ink is the IFRS treatment. The red ink is the ASPI treatment. That's it for this video. If you stuck around to the very end there, smash the button, and I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching. Bye. The next video in our series is right up here. And if you want a supercut of all of the videos in this series, that's the one down below.